Are you planning to take Social Security at 62, 67, or 70? The same work record produces three very different checks, and the gap between the smallest and the largest is bigger than almost anyone expects. I pulled Social Security's own reduction tables and delayed credit rules. Here are the three ages, one at a time. My name is Eric. I read the fine print on retirement money, so you don't have to. And today, I'm walking you through the three claiming ages one at a time, what each one does to the same check, and the honest lifetime math almost nobody runs, ending with a one-page action plan you can finish this week. But first, locate yourself. Which age were you planning to claim? 62, 67, 70, or somewhere in between? Put it in the comments right now before you hear a single number, because I want to know where this audience stands, and because your answer at the end of this video may not match your answer right now. Fair warning, the gap between these doors is measured in hundreds of dollars a month. It compounds for life, and whichever door you pick, the choice is permanent in ways most people only learn after they have filed. Age 62. That is the earliest age the Social Security rules let you start your own retirement check. And it is where the story begins for millions of households. Because 62 is the moment the money finally becomes real, after 4 decades of payroll taxes coming out of every paycheck. Understand why the early door exists, because the design tells you everything. The whole system is built around one anchor, your full retirement age. The age where you collect exactly the benefit your earnings record has earned under the formula. Claim before that anchor, and the agency does not punish you with a penalty fee. It reprices you. Every month you start ahead of your full retirement age shaves a small sliver off the check, dollar by dollar. And the slivers are calibrated so that, for a person with roughly average longevity, the smaller checks over more years and the bigger checks over fewer years land in the same neighborhood over a lifetime. The system, in other words, is mostly indifferent to your choice. You are not. Your health, your savings, your marriage, and your family history make one door genuinely better for you. And the people who lose are the ones who never run the comparison at all. The people who take the early check usually have a reason that feels bigger than arithmetic. The job ended earlier than planned. The knees or the heart made the decision. Or there is a quiet fear that the program will not be there later. So the instinct says grab every dollar on offer now, while it is still on the table. Every one of those reasons is human, and some of them are right. But most people signing up at 62 have never seen the math, and the math deserves 2 minutes of your attention before you sign anything. So here is the rule with the exact numbers. When you claim early, the reduction is 0.5% for each of the first 36 months before your full retirement age, and then 0.5% for each month beyond those 36. Claim at 62 when your full retirement age is 67, and you are starting 60 months early, the maximum the rules allow. Run the two rates across all 60 of those months, and the combined cut comes to about 30% of the check every month for the rest of your life. Social Security's own planner page says it plainly. Start at 62, and your benefit can be reduced by as much as a third below what you would collect by waiting until full retirement age. The word permanent is doing real work in that sentence. The check does not heal when you turn 67. It does not catch up at 75. The discount you accepted at 62 follows the check for as long as the check follows you. Let me show you what that looks like with real numbers. Take a retired worker whose earnings record produces $2,000 a month at full retirement age. Nothing fancy, not a maximum earner, just a solid working life, and a figure sitting close to the current national average, which I will prove in the next section. That worker files at 62, and the early factor gets stamped on the record for good. 70 cents on every dollar. The $2,000 becomes $1,400 a month. Across a full year, that is $16,800 instead of $24,000, a difference of $7,200 year in and year out. And the $600 a month that vanished was not confiscated. It was traded. 60 months of earlier checks in exchange for a smaller check forever. Notice what the trade really is, because people get this wrong in both directions. It is not money against no money. It is money now against more money later, which is a genuinely hard choice. And it is exactly why I will not stand here and tell you the early door is always a mistake. If the alternative to claiming is carrying credit card balances at 62, the early check can be the sane move. If your health or your family history tells you the long game is not your game, the early check can be the sane move. What is never the sane move is taking a lifetime cut by accident, without ever seeing what it costs you in dollars. And that accident happens every single day. Now the part most retirees miss. The cut is measured to the month, not to the year, which means the early door is not one door. It is a hallway of 60 doors. Claim at 63 instead of 62, and the cut shrinks. Claim at 64, and it shrinks again. People talk about this decision as if it has two settings, early or late, when the rules price every single month in between. And waiting even one extra year at the front end buys back a meaningful slice of the check. Real dollars, every month, for life. One more caution while we are standing at this door. If you claim early and keep working, a separate earnings limit can temporarily hold back part of your checks until you reach full retirement age, as the rules currently stand. That limit is its own topic and its own video. But you need to hear that it exists before you file at 62 with a part-time job still running, because it catches people every year. This is all on the Social Security Retirement Planner, on the page called Retirement Age and Benefit Reduction, with the month-by-month rates published by the agency's own actuaries. Age 67. For everyone born in 1960 or later, that is your full retirement age, and the agency's planner page for that group says it in one plain sentence. If you were born in 1960, your full retirement age is 67. If you were born earlier than that, your own anchor sits a few months lower, on a schedule the agency publishes down to the birth month, so nothing in this video changes for you except the exact ages, and your statement will give you yours. Why does this number matter so much? Because 67 is the only one of our three ages where nothing is being done to your check. No reduction factor, no bonus credit. It is the benchmark printed at the center of your own Social Security statement, and you cannot judge the other two ages until you have it in front of you, because both of them are defined as distances from this one. Distances measured in dollars you will either give up or gain. Now let me correct the single most stubborn piece of folklore in this entire subject. 65 is not your full retirement age. For your parents' generation it was, and the number is still welded into the culture, partly because 65 is when Medicare shows up for most people, so it feels like the official retirement birthday. But the full retirement age has been climbing on a schedule Congress set decades ago, and for anyone reaching their early 60s now, the line is 67. Full stop. Every year people file at 65, believing they have waited long enough to collect the full amount. And instead, they lock in a permanent cut of roughly 13%. Because 24 months early is still early, and the formula from the first door does not care what year your parents retired. Check your own line before you trust a number you inherited. So what does a full check look like in the real world? The agency's cost of living fact sheet for 2026 estimates the average retirement check in January at about $2,071 a month. That figure already includes this year's raise of 2.8%, and I bring it up for one reason. It keeps our running example honest. The worker in our example collects $2,000 even at full retirement age, sitting just under the national average. So nothing about this story is a cherry-picked fantasy record. Now run the first comparison of the day, the one that has been waiting since the first door. At 62, our worker locked in $1,400 a month. At 67, the same worker, the same earnings record, the same 4 decades of payroll taxes, collects the full $2,000. That is $600 more every month, $7,200 more every year, for doing nothing but waiting. No extra work, no extra taxes paid in. Nothing different on the application but the date. Sit with that for a second, because it is the quiet scandal of this whole subject.
5 years of patience buys roughly a 43% raise over the early check.
And almost nobody who files at 62 has ever had those two numbers put side by side. And now I can hear the objection, because it is a good one, and it is the reason this video does not end here. The 62 claimer was not sitting on their hands during those 5 years. They were collecting. Month after month, $1,400 at a time, while our 67 claimer collected nothing at all. By the time the full check starts, the early claimer has banked a head start so large that it takes the bigger check years to run it down. And I am going to put exact ages on that after the third door, because the break-even is where this whole video has been heading. For now, I will say only this. When I ran the numbers, the answer surprised me in both directions. The common mistakes at this door are sloppiness and false certainty. Sloppiness, because full retirement age is not the year you turn 67. It is a specific month tied to your birth year. And filing even a few months early because you eyeballed the calendar attaches a small permanent reduction that never had to exist. Your statement and the agency's retirement age planner page give you the month exactly.
False certainty. Because the number printed on your statement generally assumes you keep earning at your recent pace right up until you claim. So a layoff at 63 or an early exit from the workforce can pull the real check hundreds of dollars below the printed estimate. The statement is free, it updates every year, and reading it takes 10 minutes. So read it every year and watch the number move. You will find your full retirement age on the planner page for people born in 1960 or later, and the average benefit figure in the agency's cost of living adjustment fact sheet for 2026. One quick pause before the biggest check of the 3, because the next section is where people start making real decisions. This video is for educational purposes only and is not tax, legal, or financial advice. Talk to a qualified professional before making any decision about your specific situation. If this walkthrough is earning its minutes, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell on your way past. That is the signal that tells the platform to put plain English retirement math like this in front of more people standing at the same 3 doors, and it costs you nothing. In return, the next section pays off the number this whole video has been circling. The full gap in dollars between the smallest check and the biggest one, and then the break-even ages that decide which door wins for you. Age 70. The third door, and the biggest check the system will ever pay you in inflation-protected dollars on your own work record. Past your full retirement age, the rules flip polarity. Instead of docking the check for starting early, the agency pays you to wait through something called delayed retirement credits. And unlike almost everything else in this subject, the credits are simple. For everyone born in 1943 or later, the credit runs 8% for every full year you wait past your full retirement age, which lands as 2/3 of 1% added for each month of patience. Wait from 67 all the way to 70, and you stack 3 full years of credits. The agency's own planner page for people born in 1960 puts the finish line in a single sentence. Start your retirement benefit at 70, and you collect 124% of the monthly amount because you delayed for 36 months. And this deal has a hard stop that matters more than people realize. The increase ends at 70.
There is no bigger reward at 71, no bonus for holding out to 75. Every month you delay past your 70th birthday is a check you simply never collect, which makes 70 the one age in this whole story where the decision requires no analysis at all. If you have waited that long, file. Now let me show you the whole board, because you have earned it. Same worker, same earnings record.
A benefit of $2,000 a month at full retirement age. Claim at 62 and the check is $1,400. Claim at 67 and it is $2,000 even. Claim at 70 and the delayed credits push it to $2,480 a month. Look at the two ends of that row. $1,400 against $2,480. The gap is $1,080 a month, every month, from the same man or woman, the same career, the same taxes paid in, with nothing different on the application except the date. Stack that gap across a single year, and the distance between the smallest check and the largest comes to nearly $13,000. Enough to cover a new roof, a reliable used car every few years, or a decade of grocery inflation on a fixed income. In relative terms, the check at 70 runs about 77% bigger than the check at 62. That is not a rounding difference. That is a different standard of living. And when the title said the gap surprises everyone, this is the number it meant. Notice that you had to walk through 2 full doors to see it, because the gap only exists in comparison, and no government table prints the 3 checks side by side. And if the monthly gap does not move you, run the tape all the way to the end. Let both workers live to 90. The early claimer collects the smaller check for 28 years. The patient claimer collects the bigger one for 20. Add up every payment on both sides, and the 70-door finishes roughly $125,000 ahead on this one modest record, even after crediting the early claimer with an 8-year head start, and before a single cost of living raise is layered on top. That is house money. That is the difference between a retirement where the property tax bill is an annoyance and a retirement where it is a crisis. Let me be precise about what belongs to whom. The percentages are Social Security's published factors, straight off the agency's own pages. The dollar amounts are my illustration, one example record with a benefit sitting near the national average. No cost of living raises layered in, no taxes, no spousal effects. Your record will produce different totals, but the proportions hold for every American whose full retirement age is 67, which is everyone born in 1960 or later. So who is the 70-door for? People still working into their late 60s who do not need the check yet. People with longevity in the family, the ones whose parents lived deep into their 90s. People whose bigger fear is not dying early, but outliving their money. Because the check at 70 is the closest thing to longevity insurance most Americans will ever own. A stream of dollars that keeps arriving as long as you are alive and gets a cost of living raise most years. And the catch deserves equal respect, because it is real. To collect the biggest check, you have to pay your own bills from 67 to 70 out of work or savings, with nothing coming in from the program, and plenty of households simply cannot. Which is exactly why this decision needs your numbers and not mine. You will find this one on the Social Security Delayed Retirement Credits page and on the Delayed Retirement Planner page for people born in 1960. Here is the part that surprised me when I ran the numbers. Everything I have shown you so far seems to shout one word: wait. And yet the early claimer is not a fool, because while the patient claimer waits, the early claimer collects. $1,400 a month from 62 to 70 adds up to roughly $134,000 banked before the 70 claimer has cashed a single check. That is the head start, and the bigger checks have to run it down month after month, $600 at a time, then $1,080 at a time. On this example record,
The 67 claimer does not pass the 62 claimer in cumulative lifetime dollars until around age 78 and 8 months. The 70 claimer does not pass the 67 claimer until around 82 and a half. And the 70 claimer does not pass the 62 claimer until roughly 80 and 4 months. Notice how late those crossover ages sit. If you claim at 62 and pass away at 75, you came out ahead by tens of thousands of dollars. And nobody says that part out loud at retirement seminars. If you live deep into your 90s, the early door quietly costs you 6 figures. Neither of those futures is knowable in advance, which is the honest heart of this whole decision.
Same honest label as before. This is straight arithmetic on one example record using the agency's published factors, with no cost of living raises, no taxes, and no spousal effects layered in. So treat those ages as landmarks rather than gospel. But look hard at what the landmarks say. Claim early, and you are ahead every year until your late 70s. Wait, and every year you live past your early 80s pays you back with interest. So the real question was never which door is correct. The real question is which side of 80 you are planning for. And that is a question about your health, your family history, and the rest of your savings, not a question a government table can answer for you. That is the whole game. Here is your one-page action plan. 1. Open a My Social Security account on the Social Security website and pull your statement. It shows your own estimated check at 62, at your full retirement age, and at 70, in real dollars, and reading it takes about 10 minutes. 2. Confirm your exact full retirement age, down to the month, on the agency's Retirement Age Planner page, especially if you were born before 1960. 3. Run the break-even against your own situation, your health, your family history, and the rest of your savings. And if you are married, ask a qualified advisor how your claiming age shapes the check your spouse could inherit, because that decision outlives you. 4. Come back and tell me in the comments which age you picked, because that answer helps me build what comes next.
1,400, 2,000, 2,480. Same worker, same record, 3 dates on one application, and a gap of $1,080 a month between the first door and the last, with the break-even living somewhere around your 80th birthday. Your homework is your own statement, not my example. In the next video, the follow-up question half of you are asking already: how much you can earn from a job while collecting an early check before the earnings limit starts holding money back. If you have claimed, tell me in the comments what age you picked